Hi guys, I'm Amy and my channel is Strength Reversed. Thank you so much for watching. Today I'm going to do a video about decks that I do not use. I was going to say that I don't use anymore, but some of them I never really did use. What inspired me was Heather Carter's video about decks that are leaving her collection, and I will link that in the description in case you're interested in seeing those decks. It inspired me to go through my decks and see, you know, I don't collect tons of decks. So the decks that I do have, I use most of them. You know, you have different categories of decks, like my go-to decks. And then there's the decks that I don't use too often, or maybe they're for a specific purpose, but I use them often enough. And then you have the decks that maybe you rarely use, but they still have sentimental value, or, you know, they are meaningful. These are none of the above. So you know how you have that mental inventory of shit I would save if my house were burning down, like my kid, and then I have to have my journals, and then there are like 2 or 3 tarot decks that I'd probably run back into my house to get. These are going to take one for the team. They don't make the cut. So let me sip my coffee because what a day. So I teach 8th grade, and today there was a really bad storm, and about a little after 11 the power went out and stayed out until just after the last bell rang. Of course, then the power decides to come on. And my school doesn't have a lot of exterior windows in classrooms, and so it is dark. It's not like you can read by the sunlight. It's just a lot of cell phones and hoping people aren't making babies in the corner, that kind of a thing. I'm kidding, they weren't. But, you know, with 8th graders, you gotta always be on alert. So that was today. And here are some of my decks. Now, a few of them are, I wouldn't even call them oracle decks. They're more like novelty decks. They're like Hay House, mass market stuff that they churn out. And the way I came about them, because if you've seen any of my videos, I've mentioned I'm not really an oracle deck person. The way I got them is several years ago, they were in like a clearance bin at, you know, Barnes & Noble or Books A Million or something. It must have been like a Hay House clearance. And so that's how I ended up with some of these. And it was like so cheap you couldn't afford not to. So I thought I'll get them, and then if I don't like them, I don't really care. So one of them is The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. And they're just, you know, a lot of the Hay House decks like this, there's nothing wrong with them, but I think they're probably just cranked out to like support a book. And so they just have, and I like the, I guess, era, but they're just clip art, you know, with a title. And so I like that kind of old-fashioned look. So we have Respect Yourself, and then on the back is a blurb about self-respect. You know, attract the right people, and then on the back is a blurb about that. Some of the clip art is kind of cute, but I think I might like practice edging decks, because I do have a deck that is like my, you know, most favorite deck ever that I'm thinking of edging. So I might see if it edges well. The next one are Carolyn Meese the Archetype cards, and they're actually kind of cool. It's a little bit overwhelming because I think there are 80 cards, 74, and then 6 blank ones. And it comes with like a booklet that, you know, will explain each archetype. But each one So it has some blank ones where you can make it yourself. I'm not understanding the back. The back doesn't really do anything for me. It's a pretty thick deck. But it says stuff like, okay, the mentor archetype, and then it will have the light attributes and the shadow attributes. So that's kind of cool. The mystic, the queen, the artist, the victim, the detective, you know, the mother, the father. They're cool to look at. I'm not, it's not something I would bring up in a tarot reading or anything. These cards, I think, are by several different artists. Self-Care Cards by Cheryl Richardson. They have 52 cards, and they're actually quite pretty. So they have, like, priorities. Oh, that's the title card, dear friends. Pleasure. Truth. You know, boundaries. So it would say, set boundaries, protect your precious time and energy, which is a good message, but these are very pretty, I do have to say. They're pretty just to look at. And who doesn't need a little more self-care? I sure do. The cards keep telling me that this year. This one is The Healing with the Fairies by Doreen Virtue. Now, of course, I found out about the whole scandal. I was the last person on the planet to know. And I just saw people mentioning the thing on YouTube, and I was like, what's this about? So I watched the video, and to be honest, I don't really closely follow any person as a spiritual teacher. So to me, it didn't, there was no emotional, you know, zing when that happened. I thought it was pretty asshole of her to say that other people don't know what they're doing, and that other people's beliefs that supported her for a long time weren't valid. But honestly, I don't really give a flying fig about her opinion, so it didn't affect me too much. But when someone says, don't buy my product anymore, done. I'm happy to oblige. I only have it in the first place because it was in the clearance bin, okay? So here are the backs of the cards. The front of the cards are, you know, different fairies. New location, creative expression. Yeah. I think I might, they're pretty and everything. I think I might honestly bring them to school and have my students do a Midsummer Night's Dream project with them or something. That's what that's good for. And the last one, you know, I actually like this deck, and I forgot I had it because I don't dig it out of the box. It says Crazy Sexy Love Notes by Chris Carr, Messages from Your Wise and Fabulous Inner Self. And it's 52 cards. This is actually a very pretty deck. I think the title is so unfortunate. It's cringy. Not in a scandalous kind of cringy, but like a cheesy cringy. And these cards they're so much fun. I think I would keep these cards. I wouldn't run back into my burning house for my cards, but I would keep them. They're like that really thick, matte, like velvety, that are just, you know, fun to touch. Be mindful with your money, honey. And then she actually has some really insightful, interesting things to say on the back of the cards. Make waves. I really like these, actually. A new day. Accept yourself. Decide. They're really, Compassion for All. They're really, really pretty. Yeah, so these I just like to even just, they're like that kind of deck. Now I do have a couple of tarot decks that made the list. This one by Barbara Walker, the Barbara Walker Tarot, I have the book of hers, Secrets of the Tarot, and I've had it on my shelf for a really long time, and it's a good book. It has lots of good information, and I, you know, saw this tarot on it, and I was like, I don't know what tarot that is, but it's her tarot deck. So I happened to find it at the Friends of the Library for $2. I know someone who goes all the time to these sales, and I'll just be like, if you see any tarot decks, just buy them. So the backs are like this. This deck, I'm just not, it's supposed to be like a little more feminist. It doesn't really scream feminist to me. It doesn't really scream anything to me. The pictures are really cool, but it's a small deck, and it's one of those, I'm not a keyword, I don't like keywords, but also, you know, when you have the 4 or 5 languages, and it just takes up a lot of space. Any one of those languages would totally work for me, but not all 5. So some of the images are pretty cool, but the book is a keeper though, definitely. Then I have the Goddess Tarot, and it does have a book with it. This is just a deck that it has a pretty similar color scheme for everything. You know, it's pretty bland looking to me. I really like bright colors. Here's the back. And so the images on the cards are really pretty, but the borders are killing me. And, you know, you can't really cut them off because it has the name. So, and plus I just don't know how much time I would want to invest into debordering it. So that might be something I could trade or give away, or just put it back in the box and let it sit there. And then the last thing is the Transparent Tarot. And I got this as a gift, and I thought it was pretty cool, but also extremely overwhelming. And it has a big book, which I haven't really gotten into, but I'd like to because it's a pretty thick book, 280 pages. And, you know, I'd like to go through whatever she feels the meanings are of the cards. Her name is Emily Carding. Carding, that's cute. But here's what the deck looks like. And it comes with this white cloth that looks sort of like a dinner napkin. But you do need it because the cards themselves are clear plastic, and mine need to be cleaned. But it's hard to see the number, but it's a 6 of swords. And then, like here we have the Tower. It's hard to tell which side is which. So here's the Tower. And the idea is that you would combine them together to get a deeper meaning. So let me show you on here. Okay, that didn't work. So I'm just going to show you on this piece of paper. So here's the 6 of Swords. And then the idea is that you would layer, for example, the Tower over it and get a deeper meaning. Or you might layer, I think this is Temperance, over that. So some of them it's cool, but to me, it's a lot, and the cards kind of stick together. And so that's why the Transparent Tarot hasn't seen much action, but I don't know if I'd really get rid of it. So thanks for watching this. And I'm interested to know how many decks you guys have that are just kind of sitting on the back burner in a box somewhere, taking up space. I don't know why I feel like I don't want to get rid of anything, but maybe some of these almost Oracle decks I can part with because they really haven't done it for me, even though they're pretty to look at. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please like or subscribe. And I think I'm going to start trying to post on Thursdays instead of Sundays. I'm going to see. Not this week, obviously, but in the future. Thanks, guys.